not invest in them, if we do not empower them,
the resources above and below the ground belongs to the state. You are the state.
Okay, we are back on the platform. I'm your host, Nghipudilo Shiindi. Today we are joined by Honorable Cloete. He's going to talk to us about his role and responsibilities as the Shadow Minister of International Relations and Trade, and also as the Chief Whip of the IPC in Parliament. Honorable, good morning and welcome to the platform.
Thank you for having me, Shiindi.
Thank you very much. You are going to talk to us about your roles and responsibilities. But before we start, I want you to tell us who you are, because I don't think many Namibians know you. Please introduce yourself to us.
All right. My name is Rodney Cloete. I grew up in Nghipudilo Central, single quotas, Oshetu Market, frequented by a lot of Namibians and tourists for Kapana. So actually my parents' house is just right in front of the entrance to the Oshetu Market. So I grew up in, so Nghipudilo Central is really what you would call old hero location. So I picked up a little bit of Ochiero, although I understand it, speaking it is a bit difficult. Because my friends used to laugh at me when I tried to speak. So I stopped trying to speak because it would end up in a laughter.
Maybe just greet them in Osherero.
Kora mamushavi, nawa.
Nawa.
Thank you. So yeah, Nghipudilo Central, old hero location. Yeah, from there I went to school in and around Windhoek, finished my schooling, went to university, and then joined the non-governmental space and worked in the social development sector. Worked for a couple of NGOs like the Namibia Red Cross Society and so forth. That's sort of where I was working in the non-profit sector. When the fish rot hit, for a person that was mostly apolitical, not even have voted before, I then decided that I need to get involved because I realized the ball has been dropped. I knew the ball was being fumbled, but this felt like the ball has been dropped and it's going to be very difficult to pick it up. And I thought, as a Namibian, I need to do my part. And you know the saying of change starts with you. So I took that step, and also by fortune and by destiny probably, the Independent Patriots for Change came on the scene. And this political party really spoke to me because of their principles and values. There was a lot of emphasis on accountability. In respect to the fish rot issue, this spoke to me. I was also struggling with other political parties in terms of unity and having one Namibia, whether we would like to admit it to ourselves as Namibians or not. Most of the times our political parties are formed and aligned on tribal lines. And this was something that I didn't associate with or found as something that would pull me into the political parties that were there at the time. But IPC brought something that was totally different. It looked like a political party that crossed all of our tribes and races, and gave a value of nationalism and unity in their principles, which really also drew me in. I joined the party, got involved in the Windhoek West constituency, and then rose through the ranks. And then, yeah, March 21, 22, ended up in Parliament as a member of Parliament for the Independent Patriots for Change.
This sounds very interesting. So you just joined politics recently because of the presence of IPC. You haven't been interested in politics your whole life, and you said you didn't vote, and I'm now here thinking, how old is he?
So yeah, I'm in my mid 40s, and really there were specific reasons why I I always followed politics in terms of being interested in where my country is going, so that I can know where we are and what we are doing. But I was not active. I was not active. So I decided to become active, and with that activeness, it meant that I also started then doing the voting, and then taking the trajectory and the direction of the country much more serious, because the way things were going and are going is not what I would say is the right way we should take, or the direction we should take our country in.
Okay, thank you. You spoke of unity, and recently the president just appointed 10 ambassadors, Namibians that will represent the country in those foreign countries, and 8 of them are from one tribe. You spoke of unity and hoping that IPC would probably then be able to help Namibians unite, because we're talking of unity in diversity, and we take pride in that. But you find that other political parties don't really see the value of unity, though they keep on preaching about unity now and then, unity. But our how we carry ourselves or how we do things doesn't align with the unity that we are preaching about. So how do you think then IPC will help us realize the unity
Yeah. So yeah, I
that
wouldn't
we are
be-
preaching about?
All right, thank you, Shiindi. I wouldn't be able to speak to the president and her choice of people she appointed, but in terms of IPC, I really feel like there is an element of nationalism and patriotism that rings true to the spirit when you're around the people, especially at grassroots level. And I've been to a lot of constituencies and community meetings that involves IPC, and I felt myself that spirit of we need to be united as a people, as a way for us to move forward. We can't be stuck in the hangover of our past, where divide and rule was the way to move for a certain group of people to control. And I can only say, from the experience that I've had on the ground, from individuals, from patriots and from members of the party, that this is sort of the narrative and the general feel that you get when you're around people, that they would really try to make sure that everybody is involved and everybody is put forward. Even to the point whereby people, I would say, would consider elements such as merit before anything else. So there's a lot of percolation at grassroots level that pushes for certain values of the party to be the priority, not what I feel or where I come from. So the anchor seems to be the values in the party, which is unity, which is a very strong one. And I think if the party continues espousing those type of values, and it runs from the top to the bottom, the party will continue to grow in that sense. And one day when we take over the governance of the country, that will also then translate to how we govern and how we do our business for Namibians.
Thank you, Honorable. You are the chief whip
Yes.
of the IPC in Parliament.
Yeah.
What is your role? Why should there be chief whip or someone called chief whip?
So first and foremost, maybe I need to thank the leadership for entrusting me with that role. It's a very important role, especially for a political party that's new, political party that has new members of parliament, a political party that doesn't really have a presence or history within parliament. So a very challenging and daunting task to take on. But as Chief Whip, there is what is expected of us in the standing rules and orders to do. That is to ensure that we maintain discipline, to ensure that our members are in attendance, to ensure that we liaise with the other chief whips to ensure that the house runs smoothly. So all those aspects in terms of our job description, but that's now in terms of Parliament, but also in terms of the party itself and the caucus, the IPC caucus. How do we as a new party shape and bring about a system that would even outlast us after 5 years or after 10 years or whenever we are not members of Parliament anymore, and something that we can leave behind for the next crop of ages coming in. That is how often do we meet to sit and discuss what we're going to do in Parliament, for example, who's traveling where. We need to make sure, for example, all our members are in-house when decisions are made. We don't want members having traveled and then a decision is made and then we are short of members to, things like that. So that's sort of the role of a chief whip. And we are really building a formidable team from what I initially said, a new party, new members. We can really see the growth in our MPs from where they started as novices to now standing toe to toe with their counterparts as shadow ministers, for example.
Thank you. You have been in that role of chief whipping for the past 6 months, I think. So how are you finding it?
Yeah, it's a very interesting role and a very challenging role. But like everything else, you need to take it step by step, day by day. So as we are all new, we are trying to, as Chief Whip, I'm trying to spread the load of work so that we are all pulling together and working together and moving together. That really helps me because I also have another role as a shadow minister so that I can also pay attention to that. So there's a lot of teamwork. So the team helps me as well, and that for me is a good thing. Obviously, there are challenges within Parliament and within Chamber itself. For example, I feel and we feel that, for example, the rules were weaponized to give the ruling party an advantage over the opposition. And I think the timing and the change of the standing rules just before we came in, and when they realized that they have a slim minority now, and this might become challenging in terms of when they are having committees, and you might even possibly have chairpersons from other political parties because of the numbers of the opposition coming in. They sort of changed and weaponized the rules. And
how did they do it?
Obviously, at the time they had a majority, and that was in the seventh sitting. Yeah. So now they had to do it then because they had that majority and power, and they changed the rules, weaponized them. For example, you have chairpersons of all the committees come from one party. Even the Public Accounts Committee, which is supposed to be a committee that really, according to the standards and the conventions or traditions of the Westminster model, is supposed to be chaired by an opposition by the opposition, and also the vice also has to go to opposition. Is now sort of having a vice chairperson which is of the ruling party. So although there is an opposition chair, I would say that's also a 50th, that's the 52nd member of that side of the house.
Okay, so you're saying the government is also now just holding itself accountable in that committee, because I think the committee is supposed to be, it's in place to sort of try to hold the government accountable.
Yeah.
And it's chaired by members of the ruling party.
Yeah, if you say it's like putting a fox in front of the hen house and expecting them to guard the chickens, it doesn't work like that. And it's also not good for the country.
Yeah.
Because accountability in its true sense doesn't happen, because sometimes you might be influenced to toe the party line or look the other way, and that doesn't speak well to moving us forward as a country. And these are the type of things that have been used to keep the control and not really allow for multi-party democracy to flourish, because the thinking is still one-party rule, and that we are the only ones that are able to rule this country, regardless of what is coming through the votes, from dropping to 63 to 51. The realization is not there yet, but eventually we'll get to a place whereby we're really a true multi-party democracy.
So, Honorable, you are saying we recognize ourselves as a democratic country, but democracy is not respected. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
I'm saying we are a democracy in form, not in substance. So whether we like it or not, we're still operating as a one-party state in terms of the amount of control and power this one specific party has over whether it's the state-owned enterprises, whether it's just even, for example, Parliament, from the Speaker to the Deputy Speaker, from all the chairpersons of the committees belonging to the ruling party. So there's even leader of official opposition not being something that has been institutionalized. It's in the standing orders and rules. If they want, they can just change it easily by voting on it and removing it. Simple as that. So you see there's still too much control in one party, and that is not good for democracy and for the country's evolution.
Okay, thank you, Honorable. You are a cabinet member of the shadow cabinet of the official opposition party, which is IPC, of course. And your role in that shadow cabinet is that you are the shadow minister of international relations and trade. Could you also just maybe walk us through your role as a shadow minister of that ministry? What are your responsibilities? What should Namibia expect from you?
So, Namibia, as shadow minister of international relations and trade, the one thing Namibia can expect from me is to ensure that we don't have a ministry that is just flying around all over the country, all over the world. We need a ministry that is really not just flying around and doing press statements, but is bringing value to the country. So I will definitely be holding them accountable, as can be seen from some of the questions that I've been asking. I want to know, like, since the minister ministry started traveling from March 22, what have they spent? So that we can check whether there's a return on investment in terms of what they've spent. You can't just have people going up and down the world, but there's nothing coming in. Then you're losing at the end of the day. That's some of the things that I'm looking forward to. But also I'm very interested and keen in also contributing, whether it's through motions that would add value to that specific ministry, or whether it's in questions that would add make them think in terms of how they can themselves do things better. So yeah, I really want to hold this ministry accountable. Even in my maiden speech, I mentioned the fact that maybe we need to relook the number of embassies we have. Comparative to the number of embassies the South African government has, you would see that we, for a small country like ours, maybe we have too many embassies. Can we reduce on them so that we can reduce on the amount of money spent on that? Because a huge amount, almost more than 80% of that goes, the budget of the ministry goes towards embassies. The ministry is speaking of economic diplomacy. I'm very keen in making sure that this is just not lip service, that it happens. So all of these things, I'll be pushing them to ensure that they are kept to their word and they are able to deliver on what they've promised the Namibians.
Okay, so you're suggesting that Namibian embassies to be reduced to what number perhaps? How many do we have currently? And
So currently we have around 31 embassies. What we can do as an option is to reduce the numbers, and then one embassy can look at several countries, for example, rather than having embassies in multiple countries. Of course, you don't want to reduce embassies in terms of the bigger countries, whether it's in New York or whether it's in London or whether it's in Belgium or whether it's in Beijing or some of the bigger countries which are very important for the country. But there are some that can be clustered to reach out to different countries. So
won't that be a burden to Namibians that are stationed in some of those countries that you want perhaps the embassy to be moved to the neighboring country perhaps?
No, you see, the thing is that Namibia has a population of around 3 million people. The exact figures in terms of the diaspora is something that we also don't know at this stage, because I've been trying to figure that out as well. But I would assume that we don't have a lot of Namibians in terms of being spread across the world. Namibians tend to, when they migrate towards places where there are Namibians already, whether it's Canada or whether it's the UK. The concern that you raise is not really, I would say, such a big one that will impact on embassies not being able to reach Namibians. Yeah.
Honorable, you hold unique positions, and I just want you to help us understand how you leverage your responsibilities into these two distinct roles that you have as the Chief Whip and also the Shadow Minister, to influence the overall, to sort of strengthen the overall influence of the IPC in Parliament. How do you juggle or leverage your responsibilities in those two roles that you hold?
So yeah, in terms of leveraging IPC in Parliament, the most important role would then be the role of Chief Whip, whereby we are trying to, maybe I'll start with the fact that we have a shadow cabinet. That is one of the most important things that we are trying to do as IPC in holding government accountable. But we are also proposing to the Namibians, as we have a shadow cabinet, that if this government that you currently have is not able or up to the task, there is an alternative. That's why we are shadowing them, so that Namibians can have a choice to say, no, you guys are not up to the task, let's give these ones an opportunity. So My role as Chief Whip is to make sure that our shadow ministers ensure that they understand their profiles, their portfolios, and are able to hold their counterparts to account. So you have that back and forth. That is how, as Chief Whip, I'm trying to ensure that we leverage IPC in positioning themselves to ensure that we are there and contributing and adding value. In terms of leveraging IPC when it comes to international relations and trade, it's through my contributions in the House, of which I will definitely be holding the ministry and the minister accountable in terms of what they've been tasked by Namibians to do. But also at the back end we have committees as well. And this is also for me to ensure that in my role as Chief Whip, to ensure that our members of parliament are able and capable and are disciplined and organized to attend and contribute during committee engagements as members of parliament that need to have an oversight function in how the country does its business in terms of service delivery or in terms of other matters. So in those ways, I'm trying to leverage to ensure that we are contributing, holding government accountable, but also showing Namibians that alternatives are possible. Yeah, and it is a multi-party democracy. It is a Westminster system. The way even we are sitting just shows that we need to hold each other, we need to hold them accountable and vice versa. So yeah, in that sense, that's how I'm trying to leverage through my roles by working with my teammates so that we can be able to deliver on what we've been given by the Namibians to do.
Okay, you have been in Parliament for the past 6 months now. So what would you then say it's your achievement as a party in Parliament? We are there to hold the government accountable and also to, I mean, Parliament is a house of laws. We are there to make laws, but you see, you come in the chamber and you have the order paper and then you go back without really dealing with the order paper of the day. And then you go back, you come back tomorrow again, same thing. So what is the party's achievement in Parliament so far?
Yeah, so we needed to hit the ground running. Yeah, that's important. And you can see starting from our maiden speeches, the expectation was that some of our MPs wouldn't even do maiden speeches, and you could get the vibe that they won't even end up speaking in Parliament because the requirement is you need to do a maiden speech before you contribute. But we've done that, and yeah, we've faced ourselves. You can see by the quality of questions that the members of Parliament are asking, especially from IPC, I believe, are very well researched, very well thought through, and it is questions that require accountability. So we are very proud of that. And then also we are seeing a continuous increase in the quantity of questions are going up. I would say as far as saying that at this stage we are the party who has asked the most questions, starting from this 8th Parliament. And that's just going to go on continuing, because the Constitution requires of us to ask questions in order to hold our counterparts, the ruling party, accountable. And you will continue seeing how we scale and how we increase our input in Parliament, because we are looking at it from a very data-oriented perspective. Because there's a lot of work that happens in the background in terms of the preparations, in terms of also making sure that we are looking at what contributions a specific MP makes in order to make sure that we don't have a couple of MPs also just at the forefront of the pack leading the pack, but the whole pack moves together. So in order to make sure that we cover all the portfolios, because sometimes you will have a situation where, for example, questions are asked, but in the whole sitting or 8th Parliament, the focus may be just on the social sectors, and then international relations, for example, gets left behind, and there's no accountability there, or they slip through the cracks. So we want to make sure that we cover the whole gambit of ministries, hence also having all 14 ministers covered as shadows. So yeah, there's a lot of achievements.
Yeah.
It might not be so obvious to others, but
Yeah.
for us, we are very happy. And then also that's so we are seeing those from our side, and I think that keeps us moving.
It's pleasing to hear that there's a lot of achievements from IPC MPs in Parliament. But, you know, on social media platforms, you find Namibians complaining that IPC members of Parliament are too quiet. They're not maybe meeting the expectations of the Namibians. And at the same time, you have the comrades, SWAPO members complaining that, you know, questions of IPC are too many. Enough with your questions. So how do you strike the balance?
So when we ask questions, we are not. So when we don't ask questions, we are not active. When we ask questions, we are asking too many questions. So you see, there's a fine balance. But the most important thing is for us to get to a point whereby we are continuously engaging based on the rules of the House. Obviously, we are a party that is premised on the rules of law. We hold our principles and values very dear and strongly, and those are the elements that keep us doing what we do, or the why we do what we do. So those things are very important for us, and I think the Namibians who voted for us vote for the party because of those principles and values they see are dear to them and they align with. So in that sense, I don't see anything that we are doing wrong or not right. For me, I look at it this way. You will have on social media, you will have comments. But if you listen to radio, you will have comments. But you'll also notice that the comments on radio are different from the comments on social media.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel the comments on radio might be more appreciative also in terms of how we handle ourselves, how we conduct ourselves, our contributions, which is different from what you would see on social media. And I think there are some outliers in social media that tend to dominate the narrative and tend to dominate the direction in which they want people to think and go. And sometimes there are some elements where people just follow that narrative. But then you also ask yourself as a party, who are those people who vote for you and who you want to make sure that you are accountable towards. And sometimes you will find it's a different class than what is on social media or is part of those outliers. And then you also know that in social media there's a lot of misinformation, disinformation, there's a lot of trolls, there's a lot of propagandists that are purely there to shape or direct things in order to put you down and lift up other people. So there's a lot of things. So the principle is don't get blown away by social media wind. Otherwise you'll end up like a log in a river, all over the place. Stick to your principles and values and what you stand for and where you are going, and fortunate enough, we have very strong leadership in the party that are able to provide advice and guidance, which is, sometimes people say it's, you're you are being led from Shandubala. But I'd rather be led from Shandubala. That means I have a leader who's leading me, rather than having.
I mean, that's leadership.
That's leadership, exactly. And sometimes when I reflect on it, I think these are people who don't have leaders, it seems like, and they don't understand what is. So they are yearning for this. That's why, in psychology, they say it's a slip of the tongue. Maybe it's also a slip of the tongue where they thought exactly. I wish I had a leader like that that would be able to guide and assist us in, But we don't mind too much about social media and all these other things that are trying to direct us in different ways. We know where we are going, and we are going to go for that 100% because we are strong in our values and principles in the direction we are going towards. So, people will have their opinions, but they remain opinions.
Yeah, that's a good one, Honorable. So, one last question. What is that one pressing issue that you want to champion at the Pan-African Parliament that will directly benefit Namibia?
Oh, so there are a couple.
Okay. Give me two, perhaps.
So, we are currently working in the committee that I represent. We are working on a model law with labor migration. And the idea is to have our African brothers and sisters be able to travel much more easier in terms of building the continent with their skills, rather than having to just go into a country and be an illegal immigrant and so forth. So we want to make sure that we get this law done, and that this law then gets ratified at the Pan-African Parliament, and then it gets shared with the African countries on the continent, and then they see if there are elements of that they can take, or they take the whole law. For example, we have oil finds that we found. Obviously, we all focus on the economic reasons in terms of we'll benefit this way, but there will be second order effects in terms of migration. Are we ready as Namibians to, whether we like it or not, because we have such a small population, we will have to have certain workers with certain skills coming in the country. So will we be ready? I don't think we are ready. So this type of laws will then help us guide and say, okay, what do we do with labor migration in the country? So in terms of also safety and security and all these elements. So there's a lot of work. People tend to say that the Pan-African Parliament doesn't add value, but I could already see how much value a law like that could bring towards the country. So that's one thing. And of course the second one would be that this year the theme is reparations. So that I'm very interested in, because I'm also a descendant. And although I'm not in part of that committee that is working on that specific issue, in terms of contributing in the plenary, I'm very excited to do that. I mean, who better to speak on an issue than a descendant of that specific issue that's been discussed. So I'm very excited about that. And there's a lot of other exciting things happening, like the Africa Free Continental Trade Area, which is so important for the continent, especially with the tariffs that are happening. The only way for us to move forward is if we look inward, because everybody is also looking inward. And for us to move the needle, it is only us that can help ourselves. And we're also trying to look at things like AI now, which is also an exciting frontier element that we also need to see how we position ourselves in whatever way we can, because the world is moving so fast in that direction, and we'll be left behind. We are already left behind. So there's a number of interesting things that are happening there that I want to really bring back to the country, and then see how we can, whether we can implement, borrow, or learn from.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Honorable, for really your time and the insights that you have shared with us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Namibia. That brings us to the end of today's session with Honorable Cloete, and you heard it from him for us to move forward, we need to look inward. So this is the platform where we will bring you or keep you informed about the business of IPC. So stay tuned. Till next time.